What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday, and welcome to another episode 11 of Lambdas Who Roll Live. I'm here with my hosts, Fernando and Diego. What's going on, fellas?
Yo,
What's
How's
good?
everything, guys?
Everybody's good, man. Fernando partying till 4 o'clock in the morning, man. Damn, think you were gonna make it.
Oh no! Shout out
That's
to
what's
my line brother. He got married yesterday. It was a beautiful wedding and reception, and it was just good to see like a lot of like my chapter bros. One that I hadn't even seen in like the past 5 years, so it was like good catching up with him and
nice.
things like that. So it
Excellent.
was really fun. But I
Well,
apologize
I'm
in
glad you
advance. My
made it, man.
voice is like kind of like gone. But
at
I'm
least you
glad
made
you were
it,
able to
man.
make it, man.
Right.
Did you guys stroll a little bit?
no, so yeah,
That's what's up,
Those
man.
days are over.
Those days are
they're
over.
gone. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Those are good.
Man, that's what's up, man. So today we have a special guest with us, our senior black belt in the frat in our Lambdas Who Roll group. We're honored to have him here with us today. Finally, we're going to introduce Professor Louis A.P. Gills. So let's bring him on.
Hey,
AP,
brother.
You,
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
what's
It's funny
going
because
on, AP?
it's good, man. It's funny because we backstage and we talk a little bit, and it's kind of like now we're doing it again. But it's all good, and welcome, AP. And thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate you coming on and taking out the time at your busy day to come and hang out with us for a little bit.
No, my pleasure, brother.
Man, it's good, man. So we wanted to kick off the show like we always do. Wanted to hear a little bit about your story. How did you become a bro? And then tell us a little bit how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I pledged in spring 2004 in Stony Brook University, our Upsilon chapter, Touchable Upsilon chapter. I was number 3 of the line, and since I've been a bro since then, and it's been an amazing experience, right, so to speak. And got to connect with people like yourselves here on this call, and I appreciate that. So shout out to the frat, I mean Latina, and as how I got into jiu-jitsu, I started jiu-jitsu back. See, I've been training now 11 years, and I started training. I came from more of a traditional martial arts. I started in Taekwondo. I got my black belt when I was 11, I think junior black belt they call it, in WTF Taekwondo. I went away for a little bit, went into ITF Taekwondo. I got my 4th degree. I went all the way to 4th degree black belt in that. But then I moved out of the city, and then I wanted to go train, and I found a spot in Nanuet, New York, where I was living at the time. I had bought a house with my wife at the time, right out of college, and I wanted to try jiu-jitsu. I always like had a appreciation as a martial artist for judo and wrestling, and I always thought to myself, man, what happens if someone takes me to the ground? What am I gonna do? Yeah, I'm good. I'm proficient in stand up. I know how to strike. But what am I gonna do when someone takes me down? And that answering that question and joining that gym in New York, it's closed now. But I started there. I got my blue belt under John Kim, who's a black belt now, under Marcus Aurelio. Then I moved over to NJ Training Grounds, got my purple belt under Will Hernef, in Western New Jersey. And then I got an opportunity with my job to move over to London, and I relocated my family all the way over there. I lived over there for like 4 years, 5 years. But I was training under Luis Manchillo Ribeiro. Got my brown belt from him, and then I got my black belt from him, and also I got my 1st degree black belt from him as well.
Nice, man. Nice. So you've been training, let's say, 12 years. That puts us what, in 2009, 2009 roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. We started roughly around the same time then.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
it sounds like you flew, man. You're saying you went to London and 4 years from purple to black. That's serious, man. That's pretty fast for a lot of people, man.
It's unheard of. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not the norm.
How many times were you training?
So yeah, now let's go deeper. So there were times when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was really hooked. There was times where I was training 2 times a day while before going to work. Being a full-time professional, I was in the morning, very cold in the New Jersey area, going to train, and I'll get one session in, then after work, immediately go for the night session,
Wow.
and that helped. That helped a lot. But then again, also I felt a little burned out, so I had to take a pause on doing stuff like that.
Hmm.
Then after that, I got a schedule that y'all train 6, 7 times a week. I wouldn't do 2 days every day, but I'll definitely do 6 to 7 times, even more a week, just because really, I really enjoyed jiu-jitsu so much, right? It would have provided, and the level of contact and combat and defensive skills that I was learning and developing from it. I really wanted to get proficient in it as much as I wasn't in Taekwondo.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's how I think it helped a lot. What other thing that helped a lot, and I always tell our students, is the competing, right? Competing gave me another edge, so to speak, or another leg up or step up to be able to learn this art even faster, right? Get better at it even faster, so to speak.
Yes.
And I was competing a lot, a lot, a lot. I mean, I would say at brown belt, like I had racked up over 20 gold medals in the circuit in the year, within a 6 months to a year time frame.
Wow.
Like it was just insane, and not just gold. It was just a lot of competitions, and it wasn't only pure winning. Even at Pro Bowl, I was competing a lot, at least once a month. A minimum one month, once a month of a competition got me a lot more better and proficient in the art.
Yeah.
When I was training, guys were like, a lot of like world class athletes would come to my coach, and when I was in London, they'll say that, Cal Terra, for example, to my coach, that this guy's not a purple belt. Why are you keeping him as a purple belt? And that was a really nice compliment. Cal Terra is a 12-time, 10-time world champion.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and things like that always giving me confidence, right? And getting out there competing and asking a lot of questions got me, I think, from there to there quickly, right, so to speak.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. Let me
Do
jump
you
in the gun
think?
a little. So let me jump in
Okay.
the gun a little bit, and that's one of my questions I had to ask you because so today's theme we wanted to talk about the BJJ lifestyle, right? What does that mean, right? Or what does that mean? And is it the same for everybody, or can everybody define their own? So like I definitely want. I guess so we're talking about the competitions. Might as well just jump into that. So you're competing. Obviously, you're competing a lot, and you say once a month and stuff like that. You know, do you feel like how does that help you improve, right? What is it about competition that helps a person advance? Because I've noticed that people who compete a lot, and I come originally from like Lloyd Irving school, training with Crazy 8, and all those dudes are like crazy. A lot of them are crazy competitors, right? Like DJ Jackson, and he got his black belt in 4 or 5 years or so because he was like competing over and over and over again. How is it that competition really helps improve? What is it about it that helps you improve and move so much faster than those who don't?
Competition allows you to train with other committed athletes, right, in a setting, and allows you to kind of point out holes in your game that you probably won't see in your own gym. And that's why I always tell our students competition is the best tool, not for the glory. It's more for a tool for self improvement. It will show you what works and what doesn't work when you're going against someone that is completely a blank slate. Now, there's other variables you have to consider, right? Competing, you're very nervous. You get that fight or flight response that comes in. Naturally, all of us do. And I've talked to other champions in the art, and they've competed even longer than I have, been doing the sport for a long time. And they told me that you just got to do it as much as the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. The same thing when you roll, right? The first class is like it's this experience that you've never seen before, right? Then and you're in the second class, you're like, wow, this is really tough. It's pushing my cardio, my conditioning. Then the next class gets easier. So everything that you do over time, consistently over time, it gets easier. The first part is hard, right? The first part is going out there and doing it. And I think from competing, it allows, to answer your question, Hernan, it allows you to point out certain areas within your skill sets that you need to improve. Either it be that, well, I need to get better at stand up, or either it be need to get better at passing the guard, or have a retaining my guard or playing guard. So it forces you in these areas. And I think that's really important before you get to from a technical level. And I think being a black belt is more than just being really good at jiu-jitsu. I think there's more to that. There's a deeper meaning to being a black belt in martial arts, in my opinion. But I think when you say on a technical skill professional level where you could go and hold your own against other people within your division, schools, whatever, you need to kind of identify how can I get great at one area, jiu-jitsu. Either be you have a good guard, either you be a good passer, or you have a good takedown, and then good in those other areas as well, right? You need to be great in one area and then good in the other areas for you to be proficient in grappling. So that was my take on it. I saw that earlier and I saw as an opportunity. This is how I'm gonna get better. I used to drill a lot. I used to do all those things and whatnot. Go to class, of course. Can't get better without showing up to the mat. But the competition element gave me that. Identify certain areas I need to get better at, and then I used to just zone in on them. So like there was times I was competing with competitors. They showed me things that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna add that to my game. I like that. I'm gonna start doing that more in my jiu-jitsu.
Interesting. That's what's up.
AP, we've spoken obviously, a little bit, but just so that everybody you can share with everyone. Do you think that your previous training outside of jiu-jitsu, your taekwondo training, gave you an edge on that? Mentally, I think it did, right? Because it gave you that understanding. But do you think physically as well? Did it give you something that you were able to transfer over to jiu-jitsu? Because obviously it's a completely different art, to benefit you.
Yeah, Diego, I think what you said is right at first. Mentally, it prepared me to come into the kind of thought process and focus that I needed and discipline. So I definitely had that from a previous martial art, right? But it it doesn't. I think if you're a striker, when you go into grappling, you're gonna see that your body's pushed to a different level, right? They're not the same muscles. They're not the same things you're doing. Like to give you an idea, like I was lighter when I was just doing striking, naturally just lighter. But I put on more muscle doing more jiu-jitsu. I feel like grapplers, that grappler strength that you have, those grips. Like I didn't have any kind of like calluses in my fingers or anything that you develop with jiu-jitsu, and that grip strength that you make a grip like a hold, really firm grip, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's completely different. Different conditioning. You can't. It's like when if you guys that do MMA, you need to try to get good at both areas because they're two different
Different art.
styles, right? They're not the same thing. Grappling and striking are not the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree that I think there's an adjustment, right? Because I came from doing tansudo and into
yeah,
jiu-jitsu. But and obviously we did kung fu when we were kids and stuff like that. And I think for me, one of the biggest benefits of doing traditional martial arts was balance, right? I was capable of maintaining my balance a lot better than most people in the beginning because when you're learning posture and you're on your knees, it's really hard. You're getting toppled over. So for me, I felt like I had a really good base and balance immediately because of years of horse stance, right? And then and the other thing was like just like awareness of your space, like of your surroundings, because you're learning when you're learning traditional martial arts, especially if you come from a really traditional, like old school mindset, and you got a old school teacher, they're always teaching you more like self-defense, be aware. So when I started rolling as a white belt, I was aware of like, movements and where to go. Obviously technique wise, you still get caught, but that really did help. So it does, I feel like there is a good benefit for doing something else. What even wrestlers, right? Wrestlers have really good top game. They're scramble. They do, it's very hard to hold them down, but obviously they're deficient in other things, right? Once they're on the ground, they don't know how to defend, how to attack. But I mean, I think definitely traditional martial arts really did help, transition in a little bit easier than people who have never done anything, So,
of course. Yeah. No, I agree with you, and flexibility to add to that balance. You're right.
Absolutely.
Taekwondo and Taekwondo, they come from the same thing. We both derive from karate, right? Yeah. And balance is one, and also flexibility. My hips and my ability, my leg strength, that helped in jiu-jitsu, right? So I'm not gonna say it's completely that it doesn't help, but it does. It does to an extent, right? But I again, grappling, I still think is a completely different style. Everyone comes in with a blank slate. you're new to it. You're not gonna be proficient at it. Everyone, like I tell everyone sucks when they start.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone does because you don't know what's gonna go on. Someone puts you in a position, and you're like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah,
And that's the beauty about it. That's the humbling experience you get through jiu-jitsu.
yeah, man.
We all know the leg strength, AP. We all feel like your legs expand as you're
Bro,
rolling. You just it's like the Hulk just becoming bigger and bigger, bro. This
seriously,
guy,
right?
man.
It can't move. I can't move. So last time we rolled, I haven't rolled with you in a while, and I've been training, I've been doing my thing, I've been working on my past. I was like, I think I got something for AP this time. As soon as I get there, I feel like a white belt. I just give him my grips. I'm like, okay, where do I go? And boom, I'm on the ground getting arm barred. I'm like, man, yeah, it's crazy, bro. But it was definitely a humbling experience because as a black belt rolling with a lot of lower belts, white belts, blue belts here, it's hard for you to get tapped, right? Unless you put yourself in a really bad position. And even if you put yourself in a bad position, like I'll force myself to get into side control. Let me see what you guys do. They still haven't figured it out in a way to get you. But so it's nice to not put yourself in a bad position and really try to do something and then be on the receiving end. We're like, whoop, now you're on your back getting tapped out and stuff like that. So for me, I was like, that's awesome. I embrace that, right? And so for me, it's like, and I tell people, like, I think the best way, in addition to competition, is really rolling with the best person in the gym, like constantly, and pushing yourself. If you're not going to compete, always go with the hardest dude in the gym and push yourself. So that way, it's kind of like competition. See what you're working on, see what works for you. But rolling with you, man, I felt like I'm just going to put my white belt back on.
I appreciate the role, man. I appreciate the feel of your heaviness and how you're getting better. I just love rolling with you guys as I see you, just because we've been in contact for such a long time and through jiu-jitsu, right, and through the brotherhood. So it's really it's an awesome experience for me too, believe it or not. And I would say this, and I agree with you. I think my mantra or one thing I follow is I'm always gonna look for the challenge.
Yeah.
Adversity breeds something different. You want to say success, it evolves you, it makes you grow, right? And even though we want to be comfortable doing the things that we know, and it's you gotta go chase the challenge.
Mm.
And that's kind of going back to the whole thing about competition and training. And it doesn't have to be competition. When you go into the gym, try to face the most challenging person in the room.
Yeah.
Don't duck them. Don't try not to go train with that person, because there's just so much reward in training with that person. That's how you get better. It's how you get better. It's in anything. That's translating from martial arts and jiu-jitsu into life. Like, and I know we're all dads here. We all went through some level of adversity growing up.
Mm.
And what better way, I know, as we moved into better neighborhoods and everything, than not putting our kids into jiu-jitsu? What better way not to give them adversity? Because jiu-jitsu you're going to face adversity no matter how good you are. If Bushesha, who's like a 10-time world champion, Jackson Souza, these guys, I've had conversations with them. We talk about it. We're like, man, jiu-jitsu when you first started is just so tough, and the smallest guy in the room beats you up, and that's such a humbling experience. And yeah, so it's one of those things. I would say I agree with you there. You gotta go for challenge. You gotta chase it. You gotta, even if it's not competition, go into the gym. I'm pretty sure we all have someone in the gym that, wow, it's challenging to roll with them. I'm gonna go with that person again.
True. That's true.
Multiple times.
That's
Just because
Yeah.
you can learn. You can learn from it.
So AP, you got your black belt at an early stage, a lot different than most. What keeps you now, right? And I mean, obviously, again, we train with you. We see you more often. But what keeps that fire going in this whole jiu-jitsu thing, right? There's so many ups and downs when it comes to jiu-jitsu in general, from a competitor to a regular, just individual who's trying to train. For you, right, a professional, someone who has competed often, someone who did receive the black belt at an early stage because of the training. What keeps that fire going?
I would say the goals that you write out for yourself. My goal is constantly to improve. I always look at. I've never been a person to compare myself with other people. I always compare myself with how I was 5 years ago, and I want to be better than that guy that was 5 years ago, right? And my so that drive for constant improvement, and then put in these goals that I know that I could obtain. I have the confidence I could obtain them, but putting them in front of me and saying, look, I'm gonna go after that. So either it be I want to get better. It could be small goals. It doesn't have to be something big like winning a championship. It could be, oh, I want to have good takedowns. I want to have this good single leg takedown that no one can stop it, right? And that constantly, that quest for improvement, that's what keeps the fire in me. And then lastly, the students, man, the students, keep me fired up. They're younger. They're coming in with a different level of intensity. They want
Mhm.
to learn. How can you not feed off of that positive energy and just like get motivated by it and inspired by it? So that's what keeps me motivated, man. The just that in itself, right? Goals and the people that I train with.
Nice, nice.
That's what's up, man.
Well,
That's what's up. So,
very,
you mentioned some big names, man. You mentioned Buchecha. You mentioned Jackson Souza. I've seen pictures with Gilbert Burns. So I wanted to know a little bit about, those world class, high level world champions that you had the honor of being, not just like attending a seminar, but like a frequent, partner, training partner. Right? There's a huge difference of me going and attending a seminar for like an hour or two versus you training in the same gym every single day. I want to hear who, like, some of those big names. How was that experience, and who was the toughest of them all? Right?
Well, they're all tough, man. I'm not gonna I'm gonna keep it politically correct here because they see this video, they're gonna be like, oh,
Oh, really? I'm coming after. I'm coming to Texas. I'm coming to Texas.
that's one of the things about Brazilians. They're very competitive. So,
Yeah.
no, but I would talk about Jackson Souza because I had the most exposure to Jackson Souza. So shout out to Jackson if he ends up watching this ever, man. Like
Please, man.
champion on and off the mats, came from the favela in Rio,
Mhm.
had this hard work ethic, right? And when he went to London, always just working, trying to help people, train and push. So I've always fed off of that, right? And he taught me a lot. I learned a lot from Jackson. He has a really strong top game. He outweighs me like by 20 pounds or so, right? But he moves like a lightweight, right? When you get into certain positions with him. So the constant training with him, that exposure of just training with him, helping him prep for competitions was he was competing in the circuit. He always pulled me, let's train, let's train, let's train. And and it just gave me that push, right? There's something about when you're training with these world class athletes that you're gonna notice that their gear, there's like, gears in a car, right? They'll go from the regular normal low gear into a fast gear quick, and their pace just continues. It gets better and better. It could be cardio and condition, the constant training, but that level of push is what you want to get condition and cardio wise when you're about to compete.
Mhm.
So getting that exposure with him and all the other world class athletes used to come into the gym like a revolving door in London Fight Factory in London. It was so beneficial for me to get better. Right? It's just like I fed off of that. It helped me prep for competition, gave me that confidence level as well. So like even those, I mean, most times, I mean, Jackson will get the better of the roles, right? It's not that I was like ever like, catching him all the time or anything like that. But it was that level of push, the grips, the way they grip, the way they feel when they're moving, and then technique. Lastly, technique. It wasn't just only about just the role, technique.
Mhm.
Hey, AP, you could do this a little better. We will roll, and I'll ask him like, what do you think I could get better at, right? Where do you see me strong? Jackson used to always say, "Oh, AP, you're like a backpack. Once you get the back, it's so annoying to deal with you in the back." Right? It's one of those things. You get that feedback and that constant exposure, and mind you, it doesn't have to be from world class athletes, from your professors in your gym. This
Yeah.
is speaking for everyone in the audience. When you go roll with your professor, and I hope your professor rolls with you. I hope he does, right? I know in Roll Star and anywhere else where I teach, I roll with all my students, right? And we all roll because, again, going back to the point before, we know it's going to be challenging for our students to roll with us. We understand that, but they're going to get better from it. They're
Right.
going to get so much better from it. That's how I got better, right? And so you could be, well, after your roll, ask the question, hey, what can I do? Where do you see this? Hey, you did something different this time when we rolled. Like, what was it? Can you show me a little bit more of it? Just like a brief couple of minutes, right? Because everyone, I know it's professional, have to get out of class quickly, but it's asking those questions, being curious, and continue to ask questions and being a student is very important. Because I am still a student. Like like any kind of other black belt I get exposed to, I talk about jiu-jitsu so much. We talk about technique. We'll say like how you did this, or we'll talk about a match that we both watched, right? So I'm constantly trying to get that level of knowledge and skills from other black belts. I don't know everything. Jiu-jitsu is so vast. You can't know everything. It's like the goal is to just get better, 1% better every day. So you rolling with those world-class athletes definitely gave me that kind of like mindset. Be focused, be disciplined, keep training, keep pushing, get your diet right,
Right.
eat right. It's gonna help you for the competition. So
Yeah, I'm so
So
glad
being
you
that
touched
you
on. Go ahead, go ahead, D.
no, go ahead. Being that you touched
No,
upon the
yeah,
the the diet stuff, you were gonna ask that.
no, I was gonna actually
Yeah,
touch.
that's my question.
Hold that thought. And I was gonna say I'm so glad that you're talking about feedback because I've realized there's a difference between those who ask and those who don't ask. And a lot of people don't ask the question because they're shy and then they don't want to expose a weakness or anything like that. So I'm really happy that you're saying how important it is to ask even the most silliest question, whatever. People sometimes they're shy, but it's I think it's so important to ask for that feedback from whoever it may be, even like a lower, not a lower belt, but I mean like like a blue belt or a purple belt. If you rolled and you got caught, hey, how did you do that? Right? Even just that feedback immediately after the roll. My question for you is now that you're the professor, you don't really have as much exposure. I'm not saying you don't have that at all, but you don't have as much exposure to like Jackson Souza, etc. Now you're rolling. You're the guy on top that everybody's kind of come after. Where are you getting your feedback from now? Like from that's one thing I would love to know because rolling with lower guys, I don't have professors in Brazil. He's not here. Where do you seek feedback? How do you develop? How are you improving now? And so that you can move get better other than just like training with the guys and stuff like that. Where are you seeking that criticism as well?
To be honest with you, I do, again, often I'm not training with, you're right, every environment changes where you go, right?
Mm.
Um, but you can create that, the same thing I was describing before, right? When you roll with another training, like I'm not the only black belt at Roll Star, right? Um, I go and cross train with other black belts,
Okay.
and if I go visit a black belt, we talk afterwards. I try to make it as much of an experience and developing and gaining knowledge and acquiring more knowledge when I do that. So you're right, it's not as often. So I get it from watching matches. I
Mm.
watch a lot, I study a lot. I'm a scholar, man. I love studying. Like outside of jiu-jitsu, even academically, it's always something that I love learning. I love learning. That's why I have a gravitation toward jiu-jitsu because you're constantly learning something new, right? Striking, you learn, but then after a while, you get proficient at certain things, and you're like, okay, this is what I do really well. I'm not saying you can't learn a lot in striking, you can, but then again, you can't do striking for your rest of your life. Sparring,
Right.
at a good percentage, you have to really decrease the level of intensity.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, you could do it for the rest of your life, right? You got guys that are in their 60s, 70s rolling still to this day. So I get better by those two things, man. I
Nice.
every time I go see a new black belt when I roll with them, or anyone else, doesn't have to be a black belt, it could be someone else that does something different that I liked. I ask them questions surrounding that game they're playing, and then I study matches. I like going to competition because I see different things, and I look at them and I try to, oh, I saw them do this, or either be a certain guard or either be a lapel guard. I don't play that game. Let me add it. Let me study it. Let me research it, and then after that, I put it to practice, and I put it to practice, and I put it to practice, and then when I roll the students, I try it all on them, and then the next thing is to try it on someone else that's at the same level or at the competition level and do it on them. So it's like building that confidence, right, as you do a position
Yeah.
over time. So that's how I get better, man. I feel like that's how I continue to evolve. Um, but yeah, again, we have more black belts in Roll Star, so I could roll with them. So Diego, I roll with him, right, as much as I can. Omar, I roll with him as much as I can, Adam as well. So I get that feel from another black belt, and it gets me better, right? That's what I need, right? But even at that, we have some really tough students that we roll with, man. Our students
Yeah.
get better because we push them, so they keep getting better. And like I always tell our students that the better that you get, you want your training partners to get better. You want them to solve the problems that you're presenting to them, because guess what? That's going to make you better over time, because you're going to roll with another partner that's going to push you in a different pace,
Right.
right? They're going to present different problems. So you need to continuously foster that. And I think we do that well.
Nice.
Anywhere I go, I try to foster that. Anywhere. Like, like push the intensity of training. Make sure you guys are always asking questions, developing and growing with it, right? So
Excellent. Excellent.
And Louis, so you said you watch a lot of jujitsu matches.
yeah,
Is it
yeah.
like who's number one, like flow grappling, that type of thing, or is it more gi centered or no gi? Because I remember like a year ago, I had this like really bad mindset that like I've since changed. Because I remember it was like talking with like a few friends that practice as well. Like, oh, let's watch these matches, like like the Gordon Ryans of the world and things like that. And I'm like, I
Right.
don't know why I'm gonna watch that because like I don't compete at that level, so it's like there's no benefit to me, which was a completely wrong mindset. And like since I've changed it, but like what type of matches are you watching? Who are you studying?
Yeah, I'm studying all of them, to be honest with you. Like you mentioned some good events to watch. To be honest with you, there's some free matches online. You don't have to actually pay for a subscription service like Flow Grappling to watch it. You could watch
Mhm.
I even watch old matches. I even watch matches
Actually,
like Marcelo Garcia versus Vitor, or Marcelo Garcia versus Andre Galval. I wanted to see what those guys were doing back, when I was like coming up. The Mendes brothers, even before them, even more so. It's that Fabio Gurgel, right, from Alliance. If you could
Oh,
find some
nice.
stuff in him, amazing pressure passer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
So things like that. This guy was competing back in the 80s, 90s, right? So before our time, right? We started jiu-jitsu, and you got to study. Jiu-jitsu hasn't changed as much as everyone thinks it does. It does. The transitions change. You start piecing it differently, and then there's one guy that does it really well. You're like, oh, that's the guy. But that person has been able just to piece all of the things together well. But the variables stay the same, right? Right. So yeah, man, I completely agree with I completely watch everything. Sorry, I completely watch
Right.
everything. So I
Yeah.
watch as much as you can, but don't spend your time just watching tape. Actually, go out there and
Get after
practice.
that. Yeah.
Watching
Absolutely.
tape is less important than training, right? You should watch tape. It helps you, and tutorials and instructionals and etc. They help your jujitsu, but certainly go out there and practice and spend more time on the mat. Mat time, nothing better than mat time.
Makes sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. So diet time. And
Yeah,
you
if we
have
got time,
you,
if we got time, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Absolutely.
No, because I
Mhm.
mean, it's a big discussion, right? And it's important for different people in different ways, right? The whole diet thing, everybody's looking for the best diet, but for jujitsu, if someone like it's not it can't be like a fad, right? Where you have this diet and it's a few weeks, and even in like competition, like people, even myself, right? You're working out, you're losing weight, you're dieting, for competition. After competition, it kind of plummets down again. How is your routine on that sense? How is your take? Again, we've spoken, you've mentioned it before, but like, how is your take on that side? When it comes to balancing what you take in to your body to obviously your jiu-jitsu and lifestyle in general.
Yeah. So speaking about that BJJ lifestyle, going back to the theme of the podcast today and show today, um, you can't have a BJJ lifestyle and have a bad diet. Either you're training once a week, 2 or 3 times a week, 4 to 5, 6 times, two a days. You need to have a good diet. And I will always say this just in life. We start martial arts because of the self defense aspect of it.
Mhm.
Um, but key thing is to also get in shape. You get the both best of both worlds, right? When you're doing that. So how I approach my health is going to be based on how much I'm training, making sure I'm eating clean foods, and clean foods surround like I eat meat but I've actually reduced the amount of meat intake over time. So I eat a lot more fish, right? I eat a lot more salmon, um, and I try to always eat any kind of meal with vegetables, fruits, and then a good complex carb. Complex carb could be whole wheat, um, a grain, a multi-grain, right? Nothing like simplified, processed. And then I eat a lean meat. Mostly, usually, would be like or fish or salmon, and then good fats, avocados, nuts, etc. And then vegetables. And vegetables, I don't limit it. I eat as much as I want. Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, they're all good. I eat those regularly. And on top of that, I do a little bit of additional supplements, like a little bit of whey protein here and there, right, just to help to add up to the protein, as I'm pushing the body as much as I can, right. But I'm giving my body good good nutrition, good
Mhm.
nutrition. So I've spoken to nutritionists. I myself am not a nutritionist. My wife actually, she completed her holistic nutrition, so shout out to her,
Nice.
certification. So she's always done dabbling in other things. But we talk about health a lot. In my household, we're very healthy. My son is very healthy. He eats clean foods as much as he can. But every now and then he's a kid, right? So I understand you can eat a little bit of chocolate, you can have a little bit of delicacies, and that's okay. It's all balance. It's not only just eat clean, clean, clean. You gotta have a little bit of everything, right? But don't make 90% of your diet or 80% of your diet can't be junk food and processed foods. It needs to be whole foods, right? 90% needs to be whole foods, right?
Mhm.
As much as it can, even greater than that if you can, right? I always say that's a number as a benchmark, and understand how much you're consuming, like, and based on how much you're exercising. And as we get older, we push our bodies more, but you got to be careful of like consuming so much processed foods and simplified foods, because over time we know that study over study, as I've read over time as a scholar in that field, you develop these kind of diseases, right? They're all linked to bad habits, poor habits. So the jiu-jitsu lifestyle gives you that kind of push that if you're training, you try to eat bad like the day before, or you try to do something the day before that's gonna make you feel and pay for it on the mass the next day. You're
Oh,
gonna feel it. You're gonna
true.
feel like the first minute of that roll, you're like, oh, I feel good. Then the second minute, you're like, I am super tired. I
We're
just
gonna
don't know
feel
what
that
happened.
today.
Yeah, you're gonna be like the same thing.
So we're all taking notes as to how to beat you. It's diet. It's the diet, bro.
Yeah,
We're all just messing up on the diet, man.
I'm over here feeling guilty right now. I'm like, dang. Yeah, Fernando, look at him, look at him. He's like, man.
He just came out of a party,
Yeah,
man. He's over
yeah,
here.
yeah. He
No,
came out
no,
of a party.
it's funny that it's funny that you guys mentioned that, because I remember the last open mat that we had, and I think like maybe like 3, maybe 4 hours before that, I had like Jersey Mike,
Oh man.
and I was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have ate this before. And you're right, it showed in the rolls, because like after a while, like the first couple minutes is like, all right, I'm all right. After that, I was like, oh, I'm gassed. Like I can't get, like I was just done, tired, and especially
Yeah,
rolling with AP, you know, because I mean, you can see like the muscles and stuff like that, like through the camera right now. But like when you actually feel that pressure, I was like, holy crap!
That's
Like
that.
it was great. Yeah, that
yeah.
strength
But
No,
is
man.
is is sick.
but
Yeah.
but it's good that you it's not an easy thing to
No.
tackle. It's really it's really a lifestyle when it comes to jujitsu, right? Like some people may think that again the whole fad thing. People come in and do a certain thing for a certain period of time, but like and I think like also jujitsu, even if you're not this person who is on that same regime of eating, but I feel like jujitsu does give you a little bit more of a push and a little bit more motivation because you don't want to be that person, right? You don't
Right.
want to feel it on the mats the next day because, like Fernando said, like it's you're gonna see it, right? It's you're not gonna lie on the mats or to the mats or to the people that you're rolling with, right? Um, so I mean, I know that it's of great importance, what I'm saying, and just in general, right? It does help you, what I'm saying, move forward.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's you think about having a holistic of eating whole food, nutritional foods. You tell me how much energy you're gonna have. like throughout the week, productivity for work. Sleeping well. So another thing. People they're like, I'm gonna sleep. No, sleep. Get your 7 hours. 7 to 8 hours as much as you can. And I understand that with kids, with work, with everything. I know it's hard, but you're doing yourself a disservice in life, not giving your body what it needs. Because
Yeah.
that's the key essential thing. Number one is health. Everything else is secondary. Like
Nothing
if
without
you
it.
don't have a good health, no way you're gonna be able to play with your kids as you want to, or have energy to do things, or the drive to go do things. Eat well, sleep well. It will pay you off in dividends, right? And you're gonna reward yourself with that. So eat a good diet as much as you can. Eat as clean as much as you can, even though it takes a certain level of discipline to do it, where
Right.
everyone is eating the fried food, the simplified food, the easy accessible food. You know, it's easy to do that. Like, but why chase the easy things? Like I said before, chase the hard things, chase adversity, chase the challenges, and then let it become. Then after you develop this kind of like approach, I'm telling you, it's easy. It's like I already have a mechanism of how to do it, and how I approach it. Like, and you can go out and eat. I'm not saying that you can't go out and have some fun and enjoy and celebrate and eat some cake or etc. I'm not saying that either. I believe in balance, right? And that's what the lifestyle should be. So you can have a healthy lifestyle and train once or twice a week. Again, all of the other habits has to happen off the mat, right? You're eating good, and you're doing well, with your diet at home. That's all it takes, and if you do more of that, the more you do of it, the better for you, right? So it's like you're gonna benefit from it.
Absolutely.
Your whole life is gonna benefit from it, period, right?
That's,
So
That's
that's
true.
my
absolutely.
take on it.
So let's take a quick 20-second break, and we'll come back and continue our conversation on the BJJ lifestyle. All right, welcome back. We're here with Professor AP talking a little bit about the BJJ lifestyle. We just finished talking about how important a healthy diet is to your game or to your overall life, right? To everything. And so we just wanted to continue a little bit more and dive into what that really means. So we really haven't defined what it is, right? And we mentioned earlier that the BJJ lifestyle, I guess it doesn't really have one specific definition, or it might, I don't know. What does it mean to you? Like, what is that BJJ lifestyle? When you hear that, what does that mean to you? What can we tell our audience?
Yeah, it's to me the BJJ lifestyle is combination of habits on and off the mat that produce a healthy, vibrant life, right? Really, there's just so much that you get from jiu-jitsu, and we talked about it. I know in your previous shows you talk about it. There's just so many benefits from it.
Hmm.
Then coupling that with doing things off the mat that produce a certain level of positivity and whole healthness in your life, that you're gonna be able to live a very bright life, right? It's a happy
Yeah.
life, right? We as humans, we're all about our lifestyles. Even when we think we're not living a lifestyle. Right now, someone could be going to work every single day, not sleeping well, eating bad, simplified foods. That is a lifestyle, like it or not, right? And that leads to kind of diseases down the end. I think greater chance of risk of disease. I'm not saying you're not going to have any chance or risk of disease. That's not even if you're even eating healthy, you may. It's the world we live in, but you reduce your risks with doing a certain level of a BJJ lifestyle. So BJJ lifestyle to me is eating well, training, exercising, incorporating jujitsu, because we're talking about BJJ lifestyles and be going to jujitsu as much as you can, as much as possible, getting that good sweat in and training and exercising, right? And continuously continuing to do it. Like we say, lifestyle means you're doing it for a
Seems
long period of time or even forever,
right.
right? Isn't it something like going back to what Diego was saying? You just don't do it in a couple of days in a week. Like, oh, I have the lifestyle. No. That's not the lifestyle, right? And for other people, it might be completely differently. Like BJJ lifestyles, you saw it in when we were coming up in the jiu-jitsu circuit, and it still is. You see it like, oh, BJJ lifestyle means you're just training constantly. You're just all you're doing is jiu-jitsu and that's it. Jiu-jitsu and competing, and that's to me, BJJ lifestyle could be your own perspective of it. And
Mm,
but it has to be for me, it should be a positive one. It should be that it's one that you're exercising, you're getting on the mat, you're putting some time in there. You're also outside of it, you're eating healthy. Let's
yeah,
couple of two, right? I think they marry each other. So to me, that's
absolutely.
what BJJ lifestyle, a life of I mean, it's a lifestyle of habits, and that would lead to something that's going to give positivity and a vibrant lifestyle that you want, life that
That's
you can live, right? So
It's interesting you mentioned the mindset of, if I compete and I'm competing constantly and I'm training constantly, that I live the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. And the reason why I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, and I mentioned it 2 shows ago, was I've been watching the show on Flow Grappling called Daisy Fresh. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. Those
yeah,
dudes are on another level, right? Whether they're crazy or they're beasts or maybe a combination of both, but those dudes are on another level. Their environment, their approach, their mindset. And in one of the shows, he had mentioned, I think he went to the ER or something like that because he had cut his eye. He was going to get some
It's Andrew
stitches.
Wiltsey, right?
And yeah, Andrew Woodsey. And shout out to Andrew Woodsey because that dude is a beast. I enjoy watching him. I love his passing game, and it's so this is nothing against Daisy Fresh, but one thing he mentioned was that he talked about all his injuries and like his fingers sprained and this and that, and he was like, that's the if you're not living this, if you don't feel this, and continue and just stitching it up and going back to the mats, you're not really living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm not living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, like, but I train probably like 4 or 5 times a week, as much as he gives me, and eat as healthy as I possibly can. I'm guilty of eating a burger here and there, but and I compete as much as I can, right? I try to do at least 3 or 4 competitions a year, right? So I'm like, wait, am I not living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle? Did I, just because I didn't have my acai bowl, does that mean I'm not living the lifestyle? So I really wanted to get your perspective, like, because I kind of was like, man, questioning my, where I'm at, right? So it's good to hear that it's really individualized, and I love the way you mentioned that it's what leads to positivity, right? And all those elements that combine internal, external, jujitsu and everything outside that leads to a positive life. That I really appreciate that, man.
no. My perspective on it to answer that question is that my perspective is that you're going to speak to certain athletes, and Andrew Wilson is a world class athlete as well. So I've trained with people like Andrew, and yeah, in London Fight Factory, we used to have guys that would just stay on the mats, sleep on
Yes.
the mat. Same thing, exact same thing. And the Meow Brothers, when they came for a week or so, they were sleeping on the mats. I roll Apollo. I mean, draw Meow. Sorry, and it was a good roll. It was constantly, he was constantly pushing the pace. Same thing that I was saying before with world class athletes. The thing is, like, in any sport there's a certain level of pride that certain athletes have,
Mm,
right? They feel like that they need to distinguish themselves from other people. I think that's an actual it's a something that we should work on as a community, that there is a distinguish. Yes, you are an athlete, you compete and everything, but everyone can live a certain healthy lifestyle
all
through
right.
jiu-jitsu. Everyone can, right? And you don't have to be competing at Worlds, Pan, Brazilian Nationals, Europeans to say, "Oh, I live the just lifestyle." You don't have to be competing. You're living that. That's your perspective. That's your lens. There's some people that everyone on this call is a professional, right? And we only have a certain amount of time. We have families. I mean, like it's only a certain amount of time you could train throughout the week, right? If you don't, then you could train as much as you can, or if you don't have a job, you could do that all you can all day. If this is your job, your full-time job is only your job, you could do that as well. So my perspective is that I know every athlete is, to an extent, you got to be selfish, in a certain level of thought process. You got to think that this is the only way. Because if you
Yeah.
talk to them, they think like that, right? They'll be like, oh, this is all you could do. It's all you got to do jiu-jitsu. Because you have to be obsessed to get to a certain level of that competitive level. You have to be as a competitor.
Yeah.
Look at other sports outside of jiu-jitsu. Any athlete that you think about that is the top of their level, the person that everyone admires or inspires, they're all selfish. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, amazing athlete, right? Michael Jordan, right? If you've seen his documentary, I mean, you get inspired by it, motivated. Some people would be like, "That's crazy," it's
That's
because
crazy.
but it's what it takes. You have to be obsessed, right?
Right.
Tom Brady, right? Guys in his 40s, still competing at the highest level, but look at all what they do. Their lifestyles, they're obsessed with it. They're selfish. They eat well, right? Going back, these guys they eat well and they're able to compete at the highest level, even to a later age of their life because of that. And outside of that, MMA. Look at Yoel Romero. Look at those guys like GSP competing all the way up to his late 30s, mid 30s, right? It's in the sports that you see, every athlete you come across, their perspective is always going to be, this is it. This is all I can do because they're tunnel vision, right? They only see that one goal, right? And I'm not judging them for that. You know, it's motivational. They can focus to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
However, you have to ask yourself the question when you're doing any sport is that what's realistic? Be a realist, right?
Mhm.
Be a realist, right? And not knocking down any. These guys have accomplished some great things, and I've mentioned a bunch of athletes across all sports that they've accomplished great things, and I feed off of that drive. Even if you can't do what they're doing, you could definitely feed off the energy of how driven they are
Yeah.
and apply that drive to your goals, right? Whatever gets you on the mat. Man, I'm gonna make sure I go consistently 3 times a week, no matter what. I'm gonna make it happen. We'll
Yeah.
talk to my family, make sure this works. Oh, I'm gonna compete. That means my diet, I'm gonna make weight and I'm gonna go on there, I'm gonna leave it all on the mats. You know, cater it to your approach, right? It's not, it doesn't have to be exact. And but I respect all of those guys that you mentioned, that you keep mentioning in this podcast and jiu-jitsu. These guys are athletes. They're beasts. They contribute to the sport in their own way. And by
Yeah.
no means I think that these guys are not people you can interact with. Yeah, you can. I just think that they give a bad perception of like the sport, which is could be a little bit unhealthy. Too obsessiveness is not either good too, right? Like if you start thinking like, oh, I have to do this or I have to. We see in all sports athletes when they feel like they need more and more of an edge, they start using drugs or PEDs
Mhm.
or steroids, right? So like I wouldn't recommend me personally, I wouldn't do that, right? But others and I'm not judging them, they do it because they feel like they have to do it to get better, right? They have to do it to compete at a stage, right? But for me, that's not a choice that I would make, right? Because again, I'm doing this for longevity. I want to be my life, my aspect of BJJ lifestyle is to live a long, healthy life and being able to do this until I'm older and I can continue to do this and get a good sweat and train and roll around. Even when my kids or nieces or nephews, they get older, I can train with them.
Gotcha.
So like that's my perspective on it. And I respect everyone what they do and how they do it. But then again, I think it gets a negative color when you say, oh, if you're not doing this, you can't train jiu-jitsu. That's not true. Everyone can train jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is for everyone, period, right? And it's a self-defense more than anything. Let's be honest, competition is a sport setting. Doesn't mean that you're gonna go ahead and beat everyone in the world. You're not. That's the beauty
Right.
about martial arts.
Mhm.
You're not the best guy, even though you think you are. Right?
Yeah.
But as an athlete, you need to think you are.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If that makes
Right.
any sense, right? So,
Yeah.
so,
Absolutely.
so, so, no,
I mean,
that's my perspective.
yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate that way that you're explaining it because it makes it relatable, you know? Like it makes it for some people, like if you're coming in and just thinking that, oh, you have to be this top person in order to relate to, in order to appreciate and benefit from jujitsu,
Mhm.
you know, you're saying is not. And, you know, it makes it, hopefully people who are watching, who do see this and who may want to try, you know, jujitsu or for whatever reason, you know, they can find something that they can relate to, you know? So, honestly, like yeah, it does make sense, you know. Appreciate
Yeah.
that view.
Definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. Like it's true what you said. It does. Use it as a motivator. I mean, after watching that documentary, I was like, man, I need to train a little harder, a little better, a little more often, and that's what I think it did for me, right? And even one little adjustment that I took from it was like where they talked about grips. Like, so for like, I don't know if you picked up on that, but apparently he was like repping grip breaking so much that his training partners started like bleeding and he would need tape or put gloves on. And I was like, man, let me pay attention to that. So now when I'm rolling with the guys, I'm like, I'm never gonna let you get a grip. So bam, bam, breaking it right away. So for me, it was even just that little tidbit that I'm capable of just adding to, into my game. So, and I guess that's the whole purpose of this type of show, right? To add a little bit to, to motivate you a little bit and add a little bit more to what you already are doing. So, but yeah, man, it's good. We have a comment from an hermano Gabriel Retana who said, bro, you knocked me on my ass 3 times with the De La Hiva when we rolled, and one you finished me with a mounted triangle. I added it to my game and already expanded my arsenal. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. And I guess Gil, and we have another one from Gil Esquivel, who's just shouting out Stony Brook. That's what's up, man. And it's so nice to get together and be able to share, this platform. And it's funny. I think I found one person who's training at Unity that is in a fraternity as well. Let's see, the Fiotas. There, he's a Fiota. Fiota.
Okay, cool.
And I was like, man, and it'd be nice to be able to see, like, if there's other organizations that have the similar have people like that are that are also training as serious as us. I mean we have about 35 people that we've identified that are training jiu-jitsu actively. Not like you just tried it, right? But you're actively training. You joined the gym or you're either at Roll Star. 35, and out of those, 5 of us are black belts, right? So it's pretty cool. It's pretty. I've never heard of it, but it would be nice to know if there are other organizations that maybe put together some little competition or something like that, just to have fun. That'd be super cool, man.
No, open mat training session and getting everyone together to kind of learn. Again, opportunity for everyone to learn. It's all about openness to learn and train. One thing I would add also, we didn't mention as far as the lifestyle is, if you can add some weight training or anything else outside to help you. Yeah. We talked about other martial arts that they help to an extent, but anything else you could do for weight training helps, right? It helps you build a certain level of resistance, right? You could do some kettlebell training, really awesome for your body and your core. Any compound training, compound lifting, really good for your whole body to kind of get that conditioning and weight training that you will need. So strength and conditioning with that. Conditioning will be the jiu-jitsu, and the weight training and the strength training would be the weights outside of the mat. So definitely I recommend it. I recommend doing that. Eating healthy, training, and doing some strength training would be helpful.
That's what's up. You gotta find space to put some weights up in the gym, man.
Oh, yeah.
Kettlebells, man. You need kettlebells. You got a good workout. Complete workout with it.
That's what's up.
We're working on that.
Awesome, man. So we're coming up to the top of the hour, and I know you guys got an open mat in a little bit, and you're breaking out to go train. So, so AP, let's get your final words. What do you got to say? Who do you got to shout out? Where can they follow you? The stage is yours right now.
Well, special shout out to, again, Latina for getting us together as brothers and getting this happening to begin with and establishing this network. Definitely a shout out to Roll Star and my students in New York as well. I have love and appreciation for all of you guys, and throughout the whole world. I want to give a shout out to my family and my friends, my wife, who supports me all the time when it comes to jiu-jitsu. She knows I need to go do this for therapy, so to speak. And yeah, most importantly, even anything, first and foremost, thank God for putting us to be able to do this, right? Without him, I believe in God, and there's nothing else that we can't be able to do the things that we enjoy in our lives, right? So spiritual level. So I thank you to all you here for bringing me on, and hopefully anything I've said today helps you who's listening to this in your journey and bring some level of positivity and light in your life. So I appreciate you all, and thank you so much.
Definitely, AP, man. I can't wait to hopefully catch up with you before you make the big move. I'm definitely gonna make a point to try to see you at least a few more times, so get beat up by you a couple more times, and then we'll definitely try to make something happen once you do make that move. Set something up over there, bring the bros from the East Coast over there to the Texas and stuff, man. So I appreciate your time, man, and I appreciate you anytime, man, on the mats and today. So, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Right.
in like a minute.
Right. He's,
All right. Thank you, brother.
Para
Bye.
siempre.
Para siempre,
thank
brother.
you. Para siempre, Luz.
All right, guys. That was AP, Professor AP, sharing some knowledge with you guys about the BJJ lifestyle and what it means. Fernando, last words, my friend.
Yeah, I want to once again give a shout out to my line brother Carlos, getting married this weekend. Also want to give a shout out to my gym, Capital MMA, in Tacoma Park, Maryland. We had some good roles, stuff like that. Like the team is getting stronger, so I'm really enjoying like
Nice.
my jujitsu. So having a
So,
good
and
time.
congratulations on the stripe,
So
man.
that,
Oh,
Congratulations on
thank you so
that
much.
blue belt, baby. Yeah.
that's what I was
Moving
about to
up.
Thank
say.
you. I appreciate
Moving
it.
up. That's
Mhm.
what's up, man.
Congrats, bro.
That's
Thank you.
what's up,
Thank you.
man.
Mhm.
Yeah, just keep going, man. And D, last
Sure.
words.
No, man. Thank you for another episode to Professor AP, which I'll be seeing shortly. But yeah, it was an awesome time, and until next week.
Absolutely, man. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate the platform, and to AP, you guys, Fernando, Diego, for coming through, sharing another Sunday with us, and we'll get together next week for another exciting show. In the meantime, train, but train smart and train hard. All right.
Well,
Para siempre. Take care,
Thank
para
you.
guys.
siempre.
Us.